What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone coming to you right now. Let's go.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Welcome in, everybody, to Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. We appreciate everybody out there joining us. We're more consistent than our Philadelphia Phillies, but we got a lot to talk about today. At the end of the show, we'll have a catch with Mitch. We do it at the end of every show, so it's a time for you guys, the fans out there, to get your questions in. We'll also preview the Marlins series, the gigantic one coming up down in South Beach. It's a 4-game set down in Miami, and the Phillies right now are a half a game out of that final wild card spot that is actually owned by the Miami Marlins. So we'll talk about that throughout the show. Phillies trade deadline predictions. Are they going to make a move for another right-handed bat? They are linked to a couple names. We'll get into that as the show goes on. Phillies Pirates series recap is part of our main topic as well, and it ties into our poll question. But before we get into all that, every Monday we are brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips, and you can go book your getaway today, phillysportstrips.com. They specialize not only in great Eagles trips, but Phillies as well. You can already book your reservations for not next year, but for Clearwater. They're already booking reservations for Clearwater, and you get to be around great people down there, great former Phillies. I know Charlie's always down there. So listen, if you're not an Eagles fan, go book your Phillies getaway right now. And if you're a big Eagles fan, they still got openings available for a lot of big away trips with the Eagles. So phillysportstrips.com is where you can find them. So Phillies Pirates series recap. Phillies lose 2 or 3 to the Pirates after getting game 1 Friday night, and then you're thinking, all right, you got a chance for game 2. JT grounds into a double play with an opportunity to tie that game up. And then we go into yesterday. And yesterday goes right into our poll question. And it is. Yesterday was the worst Phillies loss of the year. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. So hit the like, subscribe, follow, join the conversation. Let us know. Yesterday was the worst Phillies loss of the year. Do you agree or disagree? Mitch, lead us off.
I don't agree. I think this time of year, losing to a team like Pittsburgh, that tells you the mindset of the Phillies right now. I just don't sense any urgency. I look at when they went on that long West Coast road trip and went 6-1, I felt like, okay, I sense urgency in these guys. And then it's like they just kind of relaxed, because over the last 2 weeks, you don't lose series to teams like Pittsburgh. You can't, especially not in August or July. Heading into August, you want to be hot, and the Phillies are anything but hot right now.
Yeah, they're quite the opposite, Mitch, right? It's a lot. I mean, you messaged me, obviously you're moving, and you messaged me a little bit about, how they've been doing. And my initial response was inconsistent, right?
That's what's been consistent this year, is their inconsistency. And that to me is a focus thing. It's coming to the ballpark every day and focusing on what you're supposed to accomplish. And I look at guys like JT and Turner. I don't get it. I simply don't get it. At this level, you have to be able to make adjustments. And I just don't see it from either of them.
I'm tired of it. I mean, listen, I got a lot of heat for this last year because JT, got scorching hot in July last year, as we all remember, right, when Harper went down. But, I was saying he's not the best catcher in baseball. And I was getting a lot of heat for saying that, but it's unacceptable. I mean, the guy's batting 242. Trey, I can wrap my head around, right, because it is a new place, right? So I can wrap
it around. It's the same game, though, Tom. That's what I don't get. If anything, It should be a breath of fresh air. You're changing teams. It's a new look. For Trey Turner, his on-base percentage, you said, is under 300.
Yep.
It's almost impossible. He could bunt 300 if he worked at it.
294 to be exact. That's where his on-base percentage is. So,
and I'm looking here at Ryan Swope. Philly seemed to take 3 steps back, and we think they're turning it around. It's 2 steps forward, then right back. You're exactly right, Ryan. And that, to me, is focus and concentration on what you're supposed to do when you come to the ballpark.
No, you're right.
They just said Trey Turner's not worth $27 million a year. No, he's not right now.
No, it's not just offensively, Mitch. It's defense too, right? It's not just been like, okay, he struggled at the plate. He's not been good defensively. Definitely not as advertised. Definitely not the guy that I've watched over the last, 7 seasons play. He's just a different guy. He's a different guy. But to the pool, just to be different, right? Just to play the different side of it. I'll agree, I guess. I mean, just to play devil's advocate with it a little bit. I mean, yesterday's a Rob Thompson loss to me. Okay. And I don't like to put too much stock in manager losses, right? They don't get a lot of credit when you win, but you can definitely point some fingers when you lose. And yesterday, you got a guy throwing a no through 5. I understand he's not feeling good. I understand he's not 100%, but sometimes in this game, when you do less because you're not feeling good, you actually get more out of yourself, right?
Exactly.
It goes from hitting, it goes from pitching, all around. So that guy is cruising yesterday. They're winning that game. He's got a no. I'm not telling you he's got to complete the game because he's a no-hitter. I don't care that much about it. But what I do care is as soon as you took him out of that game, the next 2 guys, bang, right? So the next 2 guys you went to got hit around. So Rob, yesterday is on you. That's over-managing. Like, at least let him get through 6. I know our bullpen's been great. Our bullpen's been lights out. But like you just said, it's micromanaging, and he has his fingerprints on yesterday. Now, listen, I'm sure I can go through April and May and find more egregious losses, right? I'm sure I can. But you got a Pittsburgh team that's going south. They're not trending upwards like they were 2 months ago, right? When Dela Cruz and all those guys, and they sort of had that youth movement going on where they were playing at a high level. You got a team that's spiraling down. They're spiraling down, and you got a chance to go take 2 or 3 from them, and you're up in that baseball game the entire game to the point where, like, I got home from a tournament and thought they won. And I'm like, did the Phillies win? Like, I don't remember getting my alert for it. And I went and saw they lost 6-4 in the 10th. Well, to me, that's just squandering opportunities. And in this time of the year, you are not afforded to squander those types of opportunities. No. So that's where I stand. I mean, listen, there's probably worse losses. But for the sake of argument and the sake of conversation, I'll get fired up over yesterday because that's a team you're better than. And like you said, that comes down to focus and a lot of other things that this team just isn't doing right now.
And I look at what they did last year, and if they think that it's going to be the same type path to the postseason and through the postseason, they got another thing coming. This team is not as good as that team last year was, consistency-wise. At least when they got hot last year, they managed to carry it on for a while. Now you get a spurt of 4 games where they play well, and then they lose 4 in a row. That all comes down to focus. There's no way you win 4 games in a row, then turn around and lose 4 in a row if you're focusing on what you're supposed to be.
Yeah, listen, I don't know where to point the finger besides offensively now.
It's all offense. For me, it's all offense. When I look at the scores of these games from July on, we're just not scoring enough runs. The lineup is putting far too much pressure on the pitching staff. And you can't have that. It can't be that way on either side. The pitchers can't go out there and give up 6 runs a night to where the lineup thinks, okay, if we score 7, we got a chance to win. No, you can't do that. Yeah, but as a lineup, you can't go out there and put up 2 runs and expect your pitching staff to hold that lead throughout the course of a 9-inning game. It's just too much pressure to heap on one side or the other. It has to be comparable. The offense has to pick up the pitching staff. The pitching staff has to pick up the offense, and that's not been the case.
And we've talked about it for weeks, right? That we just kept waiting for this offense to come to life, right? And they have not. Yeah. They have not. And when you have two guys in your lineup to the caliber of JT and Trey Turner, right? That's where it all starts and ends to me, because
that's $52 million, and they're both hitting 242.
Yep. That's and then you got
impossible.
Guys like, if you had told me, and we all expected it, Bohm's having a really good year, Stott's having a great year, other guys are having good years, Nick's having a good year, right? And then you look down at those two, and you want to know the reason for the inconsistencies. Well, it's those two guys, right? If those two guys were just close to their numbers, just around their usual career numbers, we're not even having this conversation right now about a bad loss yesterday or the inconsistencies or 4-6 in your last 10. We're not having those conversations if those guys are just close to their numbers.
No. And it's scary to think what this lineup could be capable of if those two pieces of it got hot. But to me, it's like beating a dead horse. I've said it over and over and over again about both of them. They're so easy to pitch to just because of their approach. And if you can't see that on video yourself, watching yourself hit, if you can't feel that you're not getting back to close like JT, there's something wrong. If you can't feel it, you should be able to see it. I know I can see it. And Trey, it's all with his hands. With his bat straight up in the air. If his bat's straight up in the air, I know he's making it out, because he takes it from right here and then loops it back behind his head. Unless it's a hanging breaking ball, he ain't doing anything with it. It's when he goes up there and he relaxes, like we talked about Harper does, lets his bat lag, and then brings the barrel up. He's doing it backwards. He's starting with it up and then letting it lag. It's just completely backward. I don't know how Kevin Long, the hitting coach, hasn't said anything to him about that. I don't see how that's even possible. Kevin Long has to have said something to him about it. And I've seen Trey go up there and try and flatten his bat, and he just doesn't get comfortable with it, and he ends up pulling it back up, and right before he swings, sags back down. As a pitcher, you see these things. This is the kind of stuff you look for on video. And neither one of these guys has done enough to fix their issues, in my mind, because it's not something that's that hard to fix. It's just working at it.
No, you're right. And Greg says it's funny because K. Long deserves a lot of credit for the successes of young players like Marsh, but it's the veterans and high-priced guys that he seems to be missing with. Interesting to say the least. And it is interesting. And, we've had these conversations a ton too, right? Where, guys get set in their ways. And doesn't mean that they're not trying to change. Doesn't mean they're not trying to work on things. But, who knows? Who knows? I can't get in Trey's head on what they're working on. I'm not down there to see what he's working on or JT. But when the fixes seem easy to the outsiders, that's what really aggravates you.
That's really
as
aggravating.
A fan.
I see it with pitchers and I see it with hitters. When you have a glaring weakness in your approach at the big league level, I don't care if you're a pitcher or you're a hitter. If you have a glaring weakness, they are going to just absolutely expose that weakness for everyone to see. That's the difference between minor league baseball and big league baseball. In the minor leagues, you can have a glitch in your swing and pitchers won't notice anything. I know when I came to the big leagues, I played with pitchers that didn't know if a guy was on their fastball or not. I saw pitchers throw a fastball, guy foul it straight back, and the pitcher, oh God, he's on it. No, he's not on it. Guy fouls the ball straight back, he's late. but they don't know how to read where the barrel is when the ball goes through the zone, any of that stuff. They have all the equipment in place to do way more study than I was able to do because we simply didn't have like iPads in the dugout and all that crap. But if you watch the game, if all you do is watch the game will tell you what you're doing wrong. You just have to be willing to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys obviously have not.
No, they haven't. They haven't. I mean, this is 2 years in a row with JT. I mean, he bailed himself out last year and really got hot, and I'm waiting for it again because he's too good not to get hot. And like I said, can I wrap my head around Trey a little bit? Maybe. I don't like it. I kept thinking that, okay, get him through the first couple months of the year, and he'll revert back to the guy he really is. Well, we're not seeing that, right?
No, you're talking about it is one day from August. No, this $300 million player, you make the adjustments you need to make. And if you're being hard-headed about it, someone else in that locker room needs to say something.
Yeah, listen, it's tough right now because they're right there, right? I mean, that's the other conversation. They're right in this mix. It's going to segue to what we're going to talk about after the break, which is the trade deadline that's approaching. That is tomorrow. And what do the Phillies do? Where do they go from here? Do they add anything? Do we want them adding anything? Do they need to add another right-handed bat to the outfield? I know there's two names that they're linked to that we'll get into, on the other side when we come back from the break. But I don't think that's like the fix either. Like I'm also on that side of camp where I'm like, okay, I mean, you can go add a piece. It's a right-handed bat, but is that gonna be the difference maker? Right?
That's the thing. Unless you're going after another superstar, you have to find pieces that fit not only on the field, but in the clubhouse.
Yep.
And Dombrowski's got a big job on his hand at this trade deadline. Who are you going to trade off the big league team? This is what I don't understand. You're not going to trade Marsh.
No.
Because in my opinion, Marsh is proving himself to be a very good center fielder and a guy that can hit. And this is a guy like you were talking about, the young guys. Marsh, Stott, Bohm. These are all guys that are keeping their mouths shut and listening to Kevin Long. Because Kevin Long does have a track record. So they're listening to him. But the established guys, I think Nick has listened because his approach is much different than it was last year. As far as laying off balls out of the zone, away from him, he's gotten better about that. With 2 strikes, he's cutting his swing down to put the ball in play. This lineup, Trey Turner and JT, could learn so much from their young second baseman and his approach at the plate. He's got more 2-strike hits than anyone in baseball. Am I correct?
Yeah, and if he's not, he's right up there, right?
And that's what I don't understand. You see the adjustments this young kid has made. He stops striding. All he does is load his upper half, get to his backside, and stay on the ball. And JT, it's like he's made up his mind before the ball even let go of that he's swinging or not swinging.
Yeah, same with Trey.
And I just don't understand that with the experience that both of them have.
Yeah, you're not at 242 by accident this time of year, right?
No.
You're there because you're guessing.
You earned it.
Yep, you're not comfortable, whatever the case may be. But the fact that 2 pros like those 2 guys haven't been able to, get themselves out of it is crazy to me. It really is.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Especially when you're a guy like Turner and JT, because JT can run as well. But when you have speed, you have a way to get out of a funk. I mean, put a bunt down. Do anything to change how the opponent is going to go at you. If Trey Turner starts showing that he'll put a bunt down, That's going to change the entire way they defend him, the way they pitch him, all of it. This is what I don't understand. How do you not realize this kind of stuff when you're this high a paid player?
It's the question of the day, right? I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand it.
Nope, me either.
On the other side, we'll talk about, the trade deadline. It's approaching tomorrow. We'll talk about a couple names that have been linked to the Phillies, and we want to hear if there's any names, our listeners are interested in. And then what it would take to maybe pull off some of these moves. And we'll obviously preview what's coming up. It's a big 4-game set down in Miami. Hopefully we get a different team down there. It's been a house of horrors for us a little bit, right? Over the past couple of years, we've not played well down there. So hoping and praying and begging for a little bit of a change. God, these next 4 days.
We've got the pitching lineup to go at the Marlins. I mean, we're getting the top 4 guys, starting with Walker tonight.
Yeah. And a must win to get game 1 of that series.
And they got Alcantara tomorrow, who the guy can't beat the Phillies for some reason.
Yeah.
He was a Cy Young Award winner last year, and he can't beat the Phillies.
It's amazing.
It's every other pitcher from Miami that is
that beats us.
Yeah.
Or just around baseball in general. That carves us up. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
There you have it.
Yeah, there it is.
Welcome back to Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. We were talking a little bit about what happened in Pittsburgh over the weekend. They win game 1 of the series, and they come back and lose the next 2. Pretty much been in the MO this entire season. Now we head down to Miami for 4 games, but before we get into that, the trade deadline is tomorrow. And just like anybody else out there, just been reading on some names that are rumored or linked to the Phillies, and seems like the same 2 names keep coming up, and they're not guys that are going to wow you. They're not guys that are definitely these big time difference makers. But 2 right-handed bats that have been linked is one Tommy Pham from the Mets, and Matt Canna. I'm sure I'm not saying his last name right, but everybody out there that watch baseball knows who those 2 guys are. Mitch, you were talking about, the right fit, right? Not just on the field, but in the clubhouse. I don't know if Tommy Pham is that right fit. Just, I feel like he's a little bit of a punk, but listen, that doesn't mean, he is. Like, I don't know that to be factual. It just seems like he is a little bit. His numbers this year are better than Matt Canna's. So, he's batting .268, I think, with 10 homers, about 40 RBIs. So, gives you a little bit of a right-handed bat in the lineup. But neither one of those names are difference makers, right?
No, where are you going to put him? Are you going to take Marsh out of center field and platoon him? Or are you going to make him into an everyday center fielder, which he's been? The only guy that I can see that they could get anything for, the left-handed first baseman, left-handed hitting first baseman.
Yeah, and one was C.J. Cron, right? One was C.J. Cron, who just went. I don't know, he might be right-handed actually, but he just went to the Angels. So I think the other day. So that was a name like right-handed wise that was linked here to play a little first. But
Derek Hall is the guy I'm talking about.
yeah, Derek Hall, yeah.
Derek Hall is the only one I look at on that roster right now without depleting your bullpen and getting rid of bullpen arms. He's really the only guy that I think you could trade. And I don't know if it'd make a difference putting a right-handed bat in the lineup rather than him. Bohm has been outstanding at first base. I've been moving, so I haven't seen if Harper's even played first base yet.
Yes, he has. He has.
He has played it.
Yeah.
How did he? You know how he looked?
Meh. You know, you gotta be careful, right? And when I say that is, you know, to the masses, right? Like, you know, some guys you're never allowed to be critical of, right? For whatever reason, he's one of them. He made a bad error the other night, in Pittsburgh Saturday night, that led to that loss. Definitely didn't help out Nolan that inning on a dead double play ball, that he booted, and then we didn't even get an out on it. So, you know, and rightfully so, right? There's going to be the ups and downs of him over there a little bit,
Yeah.
but he's fine. Like he's fine. I'm not worried about him. He's been okay, right? He's been
That's
serviceable,
that would be the only guy that I can think of right now. Unless
and he's been moved down too, so he's been optioned. Not that matters in the conversation, but Hall was optioned down.
They sent him out, huh?
Yeah, they sent him out. I want to say
Who's their left-handed bat at first base now?
they don't have one. Well, Harper.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Harper's playing first, I just don't understand. You got Pachi, right-handed bat.
Yeah, and he's out for a while.
He's hurt again?
He's hurt again, so he's gone for a little while.
Well, then that would explain why they're looking at Canna and whatever his name is.
Yeah, and they brought Rojas up, and he's been okay. Johan Rojas, who's one of their talented prospects, to give a little bit of a right-handed bat in the lineup, but he's also a rookie too. So, there's that side of it.
The best way for a rookie to have success is to come up and watch the other guys in the lineup do well. And if they're not doing well, there's a trickle-down effect to the younger guys on that team. And that's what's surprising me about the Phillies this year. It's not their young guys that are letting them down. Their young guys have carried this team to this point in the season. Now it's time for their veterans to step up and be who they're supposed to be. With the
absolutely.
Castellanos, Harper is hitting for average, but he hasn't hit much for power. And I think that August is going to be the month that Harper's power starts to come back. He's at 5 home runs right now. I'll bet he's at 12 by the end of August. And then that'll carry him into September. If he can get hot, like I said, there's a trickle-down effect. Hopefully it'll trickle down to Harper and up to Turner. To JT and up to Turner. Because neither one of those guys, they have to look at the situation and figure out they've got to change something because what they're doing is not working. And like I said, a lot of times it can't come from the manager or a hitting coach. It's got to come from a teammate.
No, it has to. It has to come from somebody.
Good teammates pick each other up and notice things about each other's swings. Trust me, I've seen it over and over again where hitting coach or manager can say something to a guy, falls completely on deaf ears. But when another player tells him, that's a different story. So there has to be some leadership going on in that clubhouse where they pull those two guys aside and say, look, it's time to go. Because honestly, this shit has been hard to watch. The inconsistency.
Oh, it really has. It really has. You don't know what you're getting night in, night out with this team. Another name that, one of the guys in the chat brought up, but I've heard a little bit linked to us is Cody Bellinger, who's had a pretty good season with the Cubs. He's batting .314, 15 homers. Now he's left-handed, right? So he's not bringing that right-handed bat into the lineup that they're looking for, but definitely a guy who's, had a good bounce back year after his last couple in LA. So
Right.
a name that, it has some upside to it, former MVP, but definitely a guy who can lose a baseball or two for a team that's really looking for some power. I mean, they're really looking, and I didn't think we were going to be having that conversation this year. I'm shocked that we are, but part of that is Bryce, right? Part of that is, hey, when I lose a guy that can hit 35 a year, when I lose that, it's hard to replace it. And
Hoskins.
And Hoskins
30.
So I'm losing 60 home runs a year. And yeah, Bryce is playing, but we knew the power was going to be down this year. So how do they replace it? You thought maybe Trey could replace a little bit of it. He's only got 10 homers. You thought maybe he'd give you 25. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. And JT's the other one. I'm not saying he's a huge home run guy, but he's got 12. So
JT should hit 25 home runs by mistake.
Yeah, he should.
If all he does is look at the mechanics of his swing, 25 home runs a year for him should be nothing. You're talking about over 600 plate appearances. I'm sorry. You give me 600 plate appearances back when I was 30, I'd hit 25 home runs by mistake. It's just that swinging a bat is something we've done since we were little. And you look at these guys now and you see they're so in their own head. When all you have to do is make one simple, small adjustment. Changes the whole way the game's played.
No, you're 100% right. It's all about adjustments, right? I mean, every sport.
At this level, at any level, it's about adjustments. You have to adjust to everything at the big league level. That used to be the shift. You had to adjust to that, which just sickened me. Because if I was up there and there was nobody on the left side of the infield, I'm pushing a bunt down the third baseline every single time.
Oh, it's funny. I do it. I have a guy out that plays for me that I do it with a ton, right? A lefty. He probably gets, he probably got an extra 12 to 15 hits this year off doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And the conversation with him is like, dude, that's a skill set. I'm not taking the bat out of your hands. I'm not telling you to sacrifice. I'm telling you to bump for a hit. And if you can roll it out like you do, you're going to steal tons of hits. So the point is what you're saying is that, like, when you have speed like Turner and you can bring that value to your game, try it sometimes.
That's what I don't understand.
What's the worst going to happen? You're going to find your barrel, right? Which is always a good thing if it's a bunt or swinging. So you find your bat a little bit, you put it all the ball down, right? And now you make guys have to go shit all over themselves. So
exactly.
Go make somebody do it.
It's called pressuring the defense. The game of baseball is all about the shifting of pressure. And that's all it's about. When I'm on the mound and I got a 1-run lead, pressure ain't on me as the pitcher. Pressure's on those guys at the plate. How do we shift the pressure to me? Put someone on base. And I don't care how you get on base. If you get on base, you have instantaneously pressured the pitcher, especially in a close game. And that's what I don't understand. Hey, Edward, what's happening?
So another name, Mitch, that's been linked is, and this is recent too, is Paul Goldschmidt.
Now, if they had a chance to get Goldschmidt, I think they'd have to give up part of their bullpen and Derek Hall. I think to get Goldschmidt, it's going to take some of our big bullpen arms. And I don't know that you want to do that.
So according to Fangraphs, who put this together, it would have the Phillies giving up 3 of their top 10 prospects, outfielder Johan Rojas, who's actually up with the club right now, Carlos De La Cruz, and infielder Hai-Yu Lee is what the projection would be, if they got Goldschmidt.
Now, would that be a
before
rental, or is he still got this year and next year on his contract?
I want to say he has this year and next year, but I'm going to look that up to confirm that.
I think that this is the last year of his deal for some reason.
Might be. Let me find out. He has one more year.
Then I make that trade all day long.
Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So a base salary of $22 million next year. He'll be 36 years old, but still batting 280.
I'm paying for it. Give me
18
prospects.
homers.
I mean, this is a guy that's an MVP. He knows how to handle the position at first base. And he's not a guy you platoon. Now you got Boehm over at third. Harper'd have to go back in the outfield and just pray that mechanically when he makes the throws in, he does it right.
Yeah, I think that's what they're thinking too. Listen, I think it makes you so much better if you add Goldie, even if you put Harper back in the DH spot, right?
Yep.
And you just left Schwarber in left field and just got him out late in games for defensive substitutions.
Yeah, when you got a lead in the ninth, it was like when I came in back in '93. Most of the time, Kim Batiste came in at third base for Dave Hollins. There's defensive replacements. There's a reason for it, because the starters have shortcomings in their defense. I don't want to sit here and tell you Dave Hollins was a terrible third baseman. He wasn't. I never had an issue with Davey at all at third. But if you ask Kyle Schwarber, do you want to be out there in the ninth in a one-run game, or would you rather have Pache out there? Schwarber's going to tell you put Pache out there.
Yeah.
Because
and
he wants to win.
Who came in for Dave back in the day? Was that Charlie Hayes?
No, that was Kim Batiste.
Kim Batiste, that's who it was. Kim Batiste, yep.
Yeah, Batty's since passed away, but
yes. American Loyalists, this is off topic, but we appreciate the super chat. So, but he's talking about making championship rings for runners up in Super Bowls and World Series. The leagues aren't different entities anymore. Yeah. I mean, it depends how you look at it. I mean, they're always giving NFC title rings away. So, they still do the same thing in baseball. So, they are.
I mean, you look at
entities.
the Phillies. The Phillies with their rings, like our ring in '93 for the National League Championship was nicer than the Blue Jays World Series ring. And then look at the National League Championship ring from last year for the Phillies. My God, it doesn't get any more gaudy than that.
Yeah, right.
I would have loved to have seen it if they won it.
Right? How nice would that have been? Somebody says, Brian says these are unrealistic targets, so Goldie and Belly aren't available. Well, who says Goldie's not available? I can hear you on Bellinger because they've been winning, right? So they're still in that conversation, for that last wild card spot in a way. So I understand that, like, hey, they might not move on from him, but the Cardinals are in a different conversation. The Cardinals are bad. So, I mean, they're 47.
I think they would give up Goldschmidt if they got the right package. And if it doesn't take arms out of your bullpen, I make the trade. If you can trade 3 minor leaguers that are prospects, okay, great. Prospects. For JT, what was the name of that kid? Sixto Sanchez?
Yep, Sixto Sanchez.
Throws 100 miles an hour. I think he pitched twice or something for the Marlins. That's what prospects are. You never know what a prospect is going to end up being. You know what Paul Goldschmidt's going to be because he is it. He's an MVP that knows how to play the game.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
I'm just not a big prospect guy.
I've never been. We don't know what they're going to be, right?
What have we listened to all year long about Andrew Painter? He should have had Tommy John surgery back in the spring.
Yep.
And now we're not going to have him this year. You're not going to have him next year.
Mm-mm.
I just don't understand that kind of thinking and not planning. I mean, with Bryce last year, he knew he had to have Tommy John, but he could still swing the bat. That's the difference. And if a pitcher can't throw, he is a waste of space.
No, he is. He is. Don says what's more important, add a starting pitcher, a bullpen arm, or another big hitter. I think just the way the season's going, it's another hitter.
It has to be a hitter.
Pitching staff has been pretty good, especially as of late. Their starters have been really good. Their bullpen up until yesterday has been good. I mean, they've been good on that side of the baseball. So,
yeah, I'm not messing with the pitching staff, bullpen or starting rotation. I think what you were talking about with Sanchez, I don't care if the guy's blue and throwing up in the dugout. If he's throwing a no-no and he wants to go back out there, he's going back out there. And I just don't, but I can't say that in today's world. He may not have wanted to go back out. He might have said, look, I just threw 5 no-hit innings and I don't feel real good. So maybe he asked out. We don't know these things.
No, we don't. I mean,
I hope he didn't ask out.
I would hope that he didn't. I would hope to assume that he didn't. But you never know, right?
What does didn't feel good mean? That's what I want to know. Because I got back in '93, I ate at Hard Rock Cafe the night before Game 3, and I had food poisoning so bad, throwing up all night, all the next morning, and still had to come in for a save opportunity that night. That's how the game is played. Hitters don't hit how you feel. They hit what they see. And if this Sanchez was throwing as good as it looked like he was, I didn't see the game last night. But if a guy has got 5 no-hit innings under his belt, you don't take him out of that game. Not at 70 pitches.
No, he said, I had a little stomach ache going on. I didn't feel like I had much energy today. I think I did a good job. Even if I don't feel well because I have something going on, I'm going to go out there and compete. So that was, his words after the game. And then Bryce was quoted saying, when talent doesn't play well or play smart, you get beat. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It's still professional baseball. So,
yep.
And then Thompson said, as of yesterday's game, I've seen us play better. That's for sure. We have to clean it up. We made some fundamental mistakes. We have to clean it all up, and we will. So there you have it with the quotes from yesterday. And American Loyal says, Soto, appreciate the super chat. I assume he means Juan Soto. Yeah, I don't know how you pull that deal off.
You're
American Loyalist. And I don't know if they even
you're not going to get him. San Diego spent so much money out there, and I just don't know if it's worth it for them. I mean, you look at Machado, Soto, and then Tatis. Tatis, for me, is a guy that was that's a lot like his father. He can go up there and do some things with the bat in his hand, but his personality and work ethic seem to always get in his way.
And that's about that too. You feel like that's the same thing about that as well?
What's that?
Like same thing, work ethic, stuff like that.
Yes.
Same.
I think he signed that big deal and he's like, okay, I'm paid for the next 10 years.
Well, remember, that's the same dad. Listen, we all going to protect their kids, right? I get it. That being said, when your kid gets hit with a PED suspension, please, Fernando, don't try to make it like it's somebody else's fault. Like, please, like that was very telling when dad wants to publicly make it seem like it was somebody else's fault. No, it isn't. Know what you're putting in your body at all times.
Yep.
Always. I don't play those excuses, right? And you're right. I don't care about the flash. That stuff doesn't bother me if you're always producing or you're producing at a high level, right?
Yep.
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me with Soto. Some guys are just flashy. They're different, right? And that's okay.
But when you're sucking,
yep.
you better wear thin on your teammates in a hurry.
I know Machado's not happy there. There's no chance that Manny Machado, who works his butt off, was supposed to be the guy to keep that locker room together, right? There's no way he's happy with those two and their antics. And listen, Soto's tremendous, right? And it makes a lot of sense for San Diego to cut bait and get as much back as they possibly can for him. But that fit here doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
We're not going to get Juan Soto. As much as Bryce would push for that, we're not going to get him. The guy that needs to go out in San Diego, I think is Tatis. I think he is the guy that is just that guy that you don't want on your team, that draws too much attention. That kind of thing.
Yeah, he's you can tell he's an attention seeker. My buddy Art says, what happens? What's up, Art? He goes, what happens if Reese makes it back? He's coming. And yeah, there's a lot of reports out there that he's way ahead of schedule. And all that I think is great, right? Now, the other side of it is, can he compete at the level he's competed at in the past with missing as much time as he has? I can't answer that. That's internally the conversations that Phillies need to have before tomorrow. Like, they need to do all their homework on everything, leave no stone unturned so they don't assume, right? They can't assume stuff. And they got to – this isn't win – and I know you know this. This is in general. This isn't win 2 years from now.
No.
This is win now. So when you're in this mode and you spend the money to bring to the city of Philadelphia. And if you have a chance for Paul Goldschmidt, you would ask me a month ago. I was reluctant on it a little bit because what does that do with Reese? What does that do to the club? Whatever. I can't worry about that stuff. I got to worry about making this baseball team better. And Goldschmidt obviously makes this a whole hell of a lot better.
And Goldie is not one of those guys that comes in and makes waves and's flashy and does things to piss the other team off. Goldie goes out and performs his job. He knows what his job is. He goes out and does it. He doesn't seek attention on himself. He's always been a team guy. That's the kind of guy you can put in that clubhouse in Philly. You're going to lose a guy that's a great clubhouse guy in Reese because they're not going to re-sign him if they sign Goldschmidt. If they get Goldschmidt in here, Reese is going somewhere else. I don't believe for a second they'll bring both of those guys back.
No, I agree.
Goldie would be here and Reese would have to sign somewhere else. But if they want to change, now's the time to do it. You got 2 months left to go as hard as you can go and throw the best team on the field you can every night.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, it's not like you're getting a bad teammate, right?
No.
It's not like you're trading for Goldie and you're getting some loof, right? I mean, you're getting a guy who wins. You're getting a former MVP. You're getting a guy respected in the clubhouse. I mean, you're getting all those things. So
and
to me,
he does
it's a
all
no-brainer.
of it very quiet. I didn't even know he won the MVP. How quiet is that? When the guy wins the MVP and I don't know about it, he's done it very quietly. He's
very
just
quiet.
a guy that goes out there and goes about his business. Those are the guys I want. You're going to see, and I've said this, my favorite player on this team right now.
I know who it is. Can I guess?
Yeah.
For the people? Because he might be my favorite too. Is that one Bryson Stott?
Yes, it is. I love Bryce Harper. Love the way he plays the game. The guy, for me, that every at-bat, every ground ball learned something is Bryson Stott. From the time this kid came up, all he has done is get better. And I've said this, and I know people think I'm nuts for saying it, but he's going to be a much better second baseman than Chase was. He's already head and shoulders above him defensively. Now, whether or not he can get to the home run totals that Chase did, I don't know. But I know this kid is going to hit, and I know he's going to make every play in the field. And how many errors has he saved Trey Turner at second base this year by laying out to catch bad throws from Trey? This is a guy that's going to be your starting second baseman for the next 10 years.
I couldn't agree more. He's my favorite player. He's a pure hitter. He doesn't
takes
strike
what
out.
They give him.
Yep, doesn't strike out a lot. Just does everything the right way at the plate. You know
what bothers
he really
me?
Does.
Watch Bryson when he strikes out. It is like he is so pissed and embarrassed going back to the walk back to the dugout. It's just not something I see on the other guys.
No, you're right. He takes it. He definitely takes it personal. All right. Well, we got to take one more break, and we'll be back on the other side, and we're going to talk about what's coming up with this 4-game set in Miami. I'll give you some predictions on that, and if we have time at the end of today, we will have a catch with Mitch. We've got a little bit more on the docket today because of the deadline, so we've got a little bit of other stuff to talk about or try to make this team better. And I think and this is for all the people listening too, I think we can all sit here and say to ourselves, we figured out and we've identified what we need. And it's really not on the pitching side of things where we really could use another right-handed bat. And, I think we talked ourselves into it. Not that it's hard to talk yourselves into it, but we talked ourselves into a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. I think the time's now. I think you find a way to do that deal. I'm not going to tell you whatever it takes, but the names that I heard that would go back in that deal make a lot of sense for both parties. They make a lot of sense for a Cardinals team that's in rebuild mode. The reason they stink isn't because of their lineup. They stink because they have no pitching. Right. None. Where they really, over the last 4 or 5 years, when they made their late runs, because every year like clockwork, you knew what happened. July and August hit and the Cardinals get hot. It was like always. You could just write it down. This year, that's not going to happen for the St. Louis Cardinals. They're 10.5 games out of that final wild card spot. I think they know it. We know it. But we'll see what happens with that. So as soon as we come back from our break, we'll talk about the Phillies heading down to South Beach and will they be focused on baseball? All that coming on the other side. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arno.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
Listen to Mitch, people. He's not lying to you. Here's the thing. That's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. I might start, you know what? I might start doing, that's the great Mitch Williams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it up a notch. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have a few more things to accomplish before I can be called great at anything.
I'm gonna throw the great word around. I'm gonna throw it around.
No, you'll cheapen the word, believe me.
Just take it. Just take it. All right, so we're getting into a 4-game set. I thought it was 3 at first, but it's a 4-game set down in Miami. Starts off tonight. It's got to be a 3 out of 4, right? I mean, we can't settle for another. Like going down there and just splitting.
If we go down there and we split and we leave there and we're still a half game behind the Marlins in the wild card, I think that'll be a very telling sign of what's going to happen the rest of this year. If they can't gird up enough to go into Miami and win that series, not split it, win it, then I think that tells you enough that the postseason ain't looking real bright.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? You know, if they go down there and it's just the same old and they split it, and then especially now the deadline's over too, right? So this is tough. This is tough. They got to go down there and find a way. You know, it's 3 or 4 minimum.
I think it'll affect this series. Will definitely affect what Dombrowski does. Tonight's game will affect what Dombrowski does. Because if they fall a game and a half out of the last wild card spot, I've thought all year long Miami's been playing over their head. They've won a ton of one-run games.
Yeah,
that's not going to hold up the rest of the year. I knew they were going to come back to the pack, and now that they've come back to the Phillies have to pounce on that. They don't need to just beat them. They need to beat them down. An ass whooping in this series will put Miami in the rearview mirror. But if you give them a chance and they split, or God forbid the Phillies lose this series, for me, that says all you need to know about the Phillies team, the character of it, and their ability to go out and focus in big games.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Just reported that Cody Bellinger will not be moved by the Cubs, as expected. They've been playing really good baseball. So he will stay in Chicago. It looks like those things can always change. And yeah, I mean, listen, Miami hasn't played good. There's been a couple teams up there that they have not come out of the break playing well. And we've let those teams like hang around per se. Right.
And that's the thing about it. You can't let teams like Miami hang around, because there's 2 things in this game that are extremely dangerous: youth and confidence. And if Miami, who already has youth, they get confident this late in the season, you're not going to catch them. You're just not, because that combination of youth and confidence leads to a lot of wins this time of year.
No, I agree. Linsky says, get rid of Turner. Linsky, as much as I get the frustration, I understand it. Can we be a little realistic here, please? Like, just a little bit. Like, I've saw people talk about sending them down to the Iron Pigs. Are we okay? Like, are we really okay? Like, you think you're a $27 million guy that we're going to, not you, Linsky, but other people, like, you think that guy's going to get sent down to the AAA? Are we okay? And then what do you think is really going to get solved by him getting sent down to AAA? You think he's going to have this big wake-up moment? Like, oh, well, look, like, he's guaranteed the rest of his money for his whole contract. So it's not like sending him down is going to make this it's like smacking him on the back of the head. It's going to make him wake up. Like, it doesn't work like that. The only way he's going to get out of it is if he gets himself out of it. But trading him or doing that's crazy talk. There's no way that Trey Turner. Listen. I'll bet everybody A2D radio on it. There is no shot. You can take the business from me that that Trey Turner is traded in the next 24 hours. No shot.
None.
No shot. He could be not worth the money all he wants, Linsky, but he's not getting traded. He's not getting traded. He's not getting sent down. And now we got to sit here and pray to whoever you pray to that he figures it the heck out. And he's probably got to do some praying too while he's at it. So pray more after Trey.
Praying always helps, but watching what you're doing and adjusting off of that would help immensely. I honestly, I sit here and I kind of laugh about it because I don't see how two guys of the level of JT and Trey can't walk into a video room and see it instantaneously. What is wrong in their swing and their approach? I just don't see how that's possible. You can't watch yourself over and over and over again and not pick up different things you're doing right and different things you're doing wrong. To me, it's either a lack of caring on their part, which I doubt. I believe they both care.
Yeah.
Or it's not something they can see themselves.
Or can't feel.
Or can't feel.
Like, they might be looking at the video all they want, Mitch, to your point. They might be studying video like it's nobody's business. I always see Trey with a tablet. So there's no way that he doesn't know what he's doing. He just might not be able to feel it to fix it. I talk to young hitters about this all the time. And as they grow, right, and they start saying, "Oh, coach, I felt that. I felt what I did there," and I'll give like a clap, right? Like,
yeah.
Now we're growing. Like we as hitting instructors, I think kids all the time. If you can't feel what I'm teaching you, then we're never going to make the adjustment. You got to be able to feel it to correct it. You got to be able to feel what you're doing wrong to then be able to get into the lab and then correct that problem. I find it hard to believe these guys don't feel it, but maybe they don't.
Yeah, and that's the part I can't understand. Both of their swings. I don't care who you are in this game. Take it right back to the tee, Tom. If you can't feel what you're doing, swinging and hitting a baseball off a tee, there's no hope for you. Because it shows you every mistake you make throughout the path your bat takes. Same thing on the mound. Video don't lie. So you have to figure out a way, get on a tee and video it to where you can feel it. You can see it first and then get in the cage and work towards feeling it. There's no way you can tell me Trey can't feel the barrel of his bat go behind his head. It just can't.
I laugh because I find that it's hard to believe if that's the case. Linsky says, JT has proven. Well, if you want to get technical here, I mean, Trey's probably had a better overall career than JT.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if anybody's proven, it would be Trey. I mean, not that JT's not, but come on.
They're both proven, but Trey's been proven more.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, JT's sensational, right? I mean, I try not to get too hard on the guy, but we can't give one guy a pass and not the other. You know what I mean? If we're giving free passes, then you give free passes to both, or you smoke both. But both need to wake up. This is their month right here. This is make or break for JT and Trey Turner.
Yeah, Art, great quote. Got to get uncomfortable before you can get comfortable. That's exactly right. You can't break bad habits if you don't get uncomfortable. When I change kids on the mound, it's simplistic in the approach, but they still have to do it. And the only way to do that is to stand there and harp on them and harp on them and harp on them. At the big league level, it shouldn't take that.
No.
With kids, to get them to change, you have to. Like when I was coaching 10-year-olds, I'm screaming out to the mound. Get all the way up to your balance point. You have to constantly remind young kids to do that.
Yeah.
At the big league level, you get out of sorts. That's what video is for. That's what coaches are for. Coaches are supposed to know your swing or your pitching mechanics by heart. Everyone on that team, there shouldn't be a coach that shouldn't know everyone's approach to their job. Every coach on that staff should know that about the player. And when you have that many eyes watching you, you have that many more ideas that you can draw from. There's some that ain't going to make sense. No matter what you tell them, they just can't get it. But you keep going and trying different things. And I just don't see that with these guys. To me, it looks like the old expression, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. And these guys are doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, they are. Well, listen, we're going to do the same thing over and over again next week. And hopefully next week, we're talking about a more consistent baseball team. Maybe we're talking next week.
They should have 6 wins. If they go out and play the way they're capable of playing, in the next week, they should win 6 games.
Yeah, because then you come home to 3 against the Royals, right? I mean, that's what we call layup lines. I mean, that should be easy. So, listen, we're here. We're here every Monday. Make sure you turn your alerts on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. Stay with us. We got tons of live shows here on A2D Radio. So, even if we're not your cup of tea, somebody here will be. All right? I can promise you that. But we are your cup of tea. We know that. But if we're not, somebody here will be. You have the Rob Eller show coming up today at 3:30. His special guest is Matt Cord, the great Matt Cord, with Rob Ellis today. So make sure you check his show out. And this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, brand new programming alert. Prior to A2D Wednesday nights, that's on every Wednesday night around 10 o'clock, with myself and a bunch of other guys, we will have the great Paul Domowitch. So Paul Damo will be starting his show this Wednesday, breaking down everything Eagles for you. And, here we are. Here we are a month away from football season.
Yeah, so, I can't wait for football.
That's exciting. I love my baseball, but part of me cannot wait where we have baseball and football at the same time. But listen, the Phillies can help us out. Phillies can start getting on a roll right now, right? This is the time. This is where Phillies talk ramps up. I can already see that the numbers this week from other weeks are higher because August is where the Phillies fans start to come out. I don't know why, but this is where they start to come out. So we're here for you, baby. We're here.
And this is where the Phillies have got to get serious. You got 2 months left. It's no longer a marathon. It is a sprint. It's how many games can you put in that W column before the end of September? And that's how they have to view it. They have to take it. I mean, the old saying, one game at a time, one pitch at a time. That's exactly what it boils down to. If you look to tomorrow, you have just thrown away today. And that's how they have to treat it. Play the game in front of you. When it's over, it's over. Go out and play the next one. But I just wouldn't look too far ahead. They can't. If they look too far ahead, they're not going to be in the postseason.
Nope. Starts tonight. Find a way tonight. Starts with you, Dave Dombrowski, tonight. Let's see what Dave's got up his sleeve over the next 24 hours. Mitch, as always, great show.
Been fun, buddy.
I want to thank everybody who's tuned in, commenting in. We can't thank you guys enough. I say it all the time on every show I do. You guys drive the show. You drive the conversation. We're here for everybody else. Art, appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, everyone that sent in messages, keep them coming. I like hearing what you guys have to say.
Yeah, sometimes, unless, no, we love what you guys have to say. Here's the thing. That's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. We thank everybody out there for tuning in, and we're always brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Go book your Philly Sports Trips getaway today at phillysportstrips.com. Love you all. See you guys next week.
You got it, brother. You guys have a great week and be safe.
See you, everybody.